What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Tomaso here with Chris Gold.
Hey, everybody.
And Chris, we are T-minus 1 week away from E3 2018.
Oh my glob, I can't believe it. I'm just so excited, man. We're almost there. It's like when you know Christmas is just around the corner, but it's E3 and not Christmas.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling too sometimes in my stomach, like those butterflies of anticipation.
Yeah, no, the butterflies of anticipation, the moths of merriment.
That's better. That's a lot better than the butterflies of anticipation.
Yeah, screw the butterflies. Give me the moths. Yeah, they know where it's at.
Yeah, so E3 is coming right up. If you listened to the podcast last week, you'll recall that Chris made an absolutely rambunctiously wild prediction of what would happen at E3. And that kind of gave us the idea for this week of basically what if we were in complete control of what was announced at E3. Nothing we could say would be regarded as too weird, too improbable, too unlikely. Anything that we predicted could, would, and should happen. What would we come up with?
Firstly, I take offense to the description at my completely accurate and 100% factual predictions as being rambunctiously ridiculous. Alright? Listen, it is still possible for Sony and Nintendo to announce that they have bought Xbox and spun it off to Sega. Alright? It's still possible. No one has said they're not doing it at E3. No one has said they're not doing it.
I guess I gotta give that to you. Good argument.
But yeah, so I really love this idea when Justin broached it because I relish the opportunity to just get nuts. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing this episode. We're going to be looking ahead to E3, and Justin and I are going to don the tiaras of godhood and proclaim ourselves the gods of E3. And we are going to declare once and for all, if we were in charge of E3 and we could snap our fingers and say, all right, this is what's going to happen, what would happen?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. A quick update on our new blog, pressarepeatedly.com. I just want to let everybody know that it is still kind of in the works. There's still some things that I need to tweak and figure out, but it is up for viewing. You can go to pressarepeatedly.com, not with a www in front of it, weirdly, just pressarepeatedly.com, and see some of the articles that have been posted so far. Some of the team is submitting some stuff right now. There's going to be more stuff uploaded through the week, and hopefully by the next time we record, everything will be ready, 100% good to go. Still some small things we're working on, but it is up for viewing. Check it out. Submit some stuff if you want. And we are really excited to be bringing that to you.
Yeah, we're really excited. Just to have a new avenue to present our content to everyone. That's just really exciting. Plus to have our friends show off some of their writing chops, their artistic skills. Because we know a lot of very, very talented artists in our particular friend group. So the idea that everyone will get a chance to see their talents at display is just really, really very exciting. And also, just a quick note, too. If, for whatever reason, pressarepeatedly.com, again, without the www, does not work, you can always try to go to press-a-repeatedly.tumblr.com, and that will also redirect you to the site.
Yes.
So those are two possible URLs you can use to access the site.
And be on the lookout for the new Press A Repeatedly logos coming out. And yeah, just a lot of new stuff that we announced it earlier in the year, and we kind of had things took a little bit longer than we wanted to, but we're both really excited to be, evolving the pod in this way and just kind of growing the whole team and showing off new stuff. So it's going to be an exciting time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, slap a fresh coat of paint on it and, call it a day. I wish it was that easy.
Hey,
it is. It has been a struggle.
It's a learning process too. So a lot of the stuff is I'm not a web designer or anything, and a lot of stuff I'm just kind of Googling and trying to figure out. And much like how we started this podcast, we didn't know what we were doing. Hell, we still don't know what we're doing. But every day we just kind of, look up and do some research.
We churn content out, whether the people want it or not. So you know what? You downloaded this episode, ladies and gentlemen. So you wanted this, you're gonna get it.
Absolutely. But it's been a fun ride, and a lot of good stuff coming.
Yeah, definitely a lot more to come. And the site is hopefully going to be the first step towards bigger and better things. Who knows?
Chris.
Bah.
Speaking of friends who write very well, I believe we got an email this week. Emails.
Justin, if your head was any bigger, your brain would have enough capacity to fill that giant head of yours because you are so smart and so right.
What?
We did get an email this week from actually just about an hour ago before we recorded this episode.
Hot off the keyboard?
Hot off the keyboard. Right into our laps. We got an email from Louie, friend of the show. He's been on a couple times before. And he's got some thoughts about our about E3 and our predictions.
All right.
So this is, again, Louie. Hey guys, it's Lewis. The guy from that one time I was on your show. You've been on a couple times.
Yeah,
Lewis.
He's been on more than one.
Yeah, it's been more than one. Anyway, I listened to your last podcast recently. I am very excited for E3 as well. Every year, the biggest news and video game reveals all happen during this one magical time of the year. I was so glad to hear you guys talk about your predictions of what's to come, but I feel you only scratched the surface. This week already has had more mind-blowing game reveals, and the con hasn't even started yet. 2 Pokemon games for the Switch were shown a couple days ago. A new Fallout game, Fallout 76, was also revealed this week. Battlefield 5 was announced, and the game designer said this game is not going to have any paid DLC or season passes. Mega Man 11 just got a new trailer and an announced date. Assassin's Creed Odyssey was revealed, and Ubisoft plans to show more during E3. The new Smash Bros. Game is still planned to be revealed for Nintendo's E3 presentation. There's even a rumor about Sony getting back into the handheld market. There's still so much I haven't covered, but this E3 is looking to be a big one. I'm hoping to see some more news on Kingdom Hearts 3, The Last of Us 2, and maybe a surprise game no one saw coming. Let me know what you guys think on some of the reveals so far. Sincerely, Lewis.
Sorry, Lewis, I didn't mean to laugh at your Kingdom Hearts 3 wish, but as per usual, whenever you bring it up, I have to make fun of you somehow about it.
Right, it is, Last episode notwithstanding, it is the official policy of Press A repeatedly that Kingdom Hearts 3 will never be released. Thank you for the email, Lewis. We really, really appreciate it. You can send any emails to parpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, Lewis, Lewis is obviously just as excited about E3 as us, and helpfully, there was just a lot of news released ahead of E3, pretty much after we announced our E3 predictions last week.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful. Thank you, video game industry.
World.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, most noticeably being the Fallout announcement, because it kind of took our whole 20-minute segment on the possibility of Elder Scrolls 6 and shoved it in the mud.
Yeah, if they're planning a new Fallout game coming out soon, then yeah, Elder Scrolls is definitely on the back burner.
Hey, again, anything's possible. We don't know. They could release both, but we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, like Lewis, he listed everything out here. We have the new Pokemon games, Fallout 76. How do you like Fallout 76? It looks like it's going to be a cooperative, like, base building type of game.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of rumors are. I don't really put 100% of faith into rumors until I just like to see the confirmation from the developers before I really believe of what a game's going to be.
Right, but let's suppose that it was true. What would your reaction be?
I would be for it, actually. I would be excited to try something new. Of course, we'd all love a main series game, but, Elder Scrolls Online is actually one of the few MMOs that I actually really enjoyed playing. So any sort of online thing that Bethesda does with Fallout, I'm sure it could be just as cool, if not cooler. The base building aspect, I did not really do any of that in Fallout 4. It didn't really appeal to me too much, but I know that it was very in depth, and you could run wires, you can run like light fixtures, build so much stuff in your camp, and that was really fleshed out mechanic in that game that I was actually impressed with how much was in that. So turning that into a full-fledged game, I could see it happening. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I honestly think it sounds really, really cool. I like that they're going in a new direction with it because, let's face it, I love Fallout 3. I didn't play Fallout 4, but Fallout 4, I trust yours and Butch's and Zul's opinion. I trust everyone's opinion about it that it's a great game, but it feels like it was kind of the same style gameplay where you just wandering around the world, and you have the VAT system, and it could have been the same type of game that they reintroduced, and there's nothing wrong with it. But after so many different entries in the series, that having the same style of gameplay just starts to get stale after a while.
Sure.
Probably my prime example of this is the Legend of Zelda series. The 3D Zelda games for a while just started to feel very samey and formulaic. You're the hero, you have to stop Ganon or whoever, go to this dungeon, beat the boss, that dungeon, beat the boss, and you just had to, it was just lather, rinse, repeat. And after a while, the gameplay was alright, but it just started to feel more of the same. And then Breath of the Wild came in and just completely blew up the formula just completely. And it just felt like it just felt so new and exciting. So I feel like Fallout 76, especially they played with the base building aspects in Fallout 4, and by introducing these co-op elements to it, I feel like they have a real chance to do something new and fresh with the Fallout series. And yeah, I think it could be a really good time.
Yep, absolutely. Of the rest of the games, Lewis, I gotta say, I think Mega Man 11 is really, really surprising me so far. I was pumped when they first announced it, and then I kind of forgot about it a little bit. But seeing that trailer this week and realizing that it's coming out so soon, just in October, not too far away, and seeing the enhanced gameplay, the really cool new art style, this really awesome looking boss battles where that one boss transforms into this giant robot thing, the new power ups and moves, the new slowdown mechanic feature that's available in the game. I don't know, man. I'm really excited for that game. I think it's far too long to go without a good Mega Man game for everybody, and building off of the success of Mega Man 9 and 10 for the WiiWare when those came out, and turning it into that same style of classic Mega Man experience that you want, but with a fresh new art direction. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. Plus, on the Switch, they just released the Mega Man Legacy Collections 1 and 2. So if you ever wanted to play Mega Man's 1 through 10, you can do that now. Plus, just to whet your appetite for when Mega Man 11 comes down the track. What is it, this November? I think it's supposed to come
October.
out? October. Oh, that's exciting. But yeah, what can you say? It's classic Mega Man action, so that's cool. I'm excited for the Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think that looks really, really cool. I like that it's set in ancient Greece. There's a lot of history there to comb through and plumb through. They might do the same thing where they had with Origins, where you had I think it was what was it, Discovery Mode, where it was kind of like a museum walking tour where you could look at all the ancient Egyptian artifacts and learn different aspects about ancient Egypt. Maybe you'll have the same thing with ancient Greece going on. I think it'd be really cool. I like, it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so you're actually going to have a new mechanic where you toss your hood onto random strangers, and then you will become those random strangers, and then you can complete assassinations by just walking up to people, stabbing them, and then you'll just return back to your original character, and boom, you make a clean getaway.
Wow, okay. First, I thought you were serious for a second, and I was like, I don't remember seeing that in a little bit that they showed. And then I didn't put two and two together, but yeah, how do you have Super Mario Odyssey and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey with the same subtitle? That's really weird.
Yeah, it's weird that they have a crossover like this going in the Odyssey franchise of games, but hey, I'm not directly connected to the video game industry. I don't know what they're thinking. And then just real quick, the last note Lewis had here about a rumor about Sony getting back into the handheld market. Lewis, that's assuming that Sony was even in the handheld market to begin with.
Oof. Throwing shade.
Do not at me.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with the success of the Switch for Sony to try and do something very similar, and possibly Microsoft. We're nearing the end of the console life for PS4.
We still have a few years.
We do.
Have a few years at least. Yeah, we still got time.
It's funny, I just had this conversation with Zool the other day, but excited to see what's going to come next from Sony and Microsoft, because Nintendo kind of had a leg up on them with their kind of mid-console life, creation of the Switch and everything, and that coming out only a few years after the Wii U failed, or debuted, and when it failed. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. Honestly, if they released like a PS4 Switch, something mobile where you could play PS4 games on the go, money is tight at the moment, but I would be very, very tempted to pick that up. Like, I think that would be really cool to play those types of games on the go, but there would be concerns about the cost, battery life, etc. Plus, again, this is just a rumor, so Who knows if this is even going to be happening.
I mean, they're known for biting off Nintendo a lot, so I could very well see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Nintendo released a console long ago, then Sony released a console, and they've just been copying them ever since. Very last point, which is going to be our segue. Lewis mentioned 2 Pokemon games for the Switch were shown a couple days ago. And, Justin, I'm pretty sure that you have played extensively one of these games already. So why don't we just use that to roll ourselves right into what are you playing?
What are you playing? If I could give an award for greatest transition of all time, I might nominate that.
I will humbly accept that nomination. I deserve this.
But yes, Lewis, I hope you're ready for a whole mouthful of Pokemon Quest information, because I have been playing it this week. I picked it up. So that Pokemon Company announcement happened earlier in the week, and they talked about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and then also Pokemon Quest, which is this new mobile-style game that is free to play and immediately free to download for the Switch and coming soon to mobile devices. And basically how the game works is it's a isometric RPG where you can have up to 3 Pokemon in your party who weirdly move on their own and attack on their own. But you have the option to pick what attacks they use. On the bottom of the screen, there are icons for each of the 3 Pokemon in your party, and you can pick either 1 or 2 of their attacks. Each one has a cooldown. And, when that replenishes, you can attack again. And, the game is built specifically for mobile. It's got that free-to-play style. It's got microtransactions. So if you thought you were getting rid of them, you are very wrong. They are in the game.
You'll never be rid of them.
Yeah. It's very similar to the Leaf tickets in Animal Crossing Pocket Camp that just came out on mobile last year, where there are things you can buy in the game. There are items, there are decorations for your base camp, things that you can collect to help you cook food, which attracts more Pokemon to your base camp that you can then add to your party if you want. And these PM tickets, they're called in the game, are what you need to buy a lot of that stuff. Of course, there are ways to get them in the game through gameplay, but they kind of come and go quickly, and the bulk of it revolves around either paying real-world money to get these tickets to get these things, or to stop playing for a while and then wait for a day to pass and let those in-game PM tickets kind of recharge and replenish for you. So of course it's frustrating, right? Like, it's especially if you like the game. You're kind of forced to either not play the game or pay money to continue playing the game. And it's kind of an interesting way to look at that, because it's not necessarily the wrong thing to do, right? Because you're getting a free game here. So it's up to you to support them somewhat. But on the other hand, it's not like I can just pay $60 and then have unlimited access to the game and I'm good. These games are built to have you keep playing. So you could very well easily go over that $60 limit. You could just keep sinking in money into this game, endlessly until you're done playing it. So,
how much money have you sunk into this game, Justin?
I have sunk $0 into the game because I just don't. I like this game. I'm having fun with it, but not enough to fall into that trap, right?
Have you sunk hundreds or thousands of dollars into this game?
Let's go to commercial break. I need a new place to live.
But getting back to video games.
Yes. So there is a battery in this game that's up in the top right corner of the screen, and basically it is how much you can play the game without having to pay the PM ticket price to refill the battery so you can keep playing. It's, a lot of the mobile free play type kind of games has that aspect in it, and it's frustrating because you're limited. You're very limited to what you can do, and if you want to keep playing, you have to just pay more money. But it's the thing about for Pokemon Quest is that you have about a half an hour of battery life before that goes down, and I feel like by that time you're kind of good on Pokemon Quest. I think it's a great game to play in short bursts. But for me, when I was playing it last week, whenever the battery ran out, I would just be like, all right, I'm ready to play something else anyway, and I just kind of turn it off. And then the next day, maybe I'll hop in for another half an hour, and then same thing will happen, and I'll switch to something else. So I guess it depends on how into the game you are, if that's something that you really would want to put money into. But for me, those short bursts kind of work actually really well for the game, and I'm fine with it.
Well, that's good. I mean, like you said, the game is designed to be a mostly mobile experience. So, a good mobile game is the type of game that you can play in short bursts like that. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily see that too much as a knock against the game since, again, it's mobile. The microtransactions, again, what are you going to do? That's just inherent with the platform. But, yeah, it sounds like for the time that you played it and for what it is, it sounds like it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's fun, and I think if you love Pokemon, you'll really have a great time playing it. If you're not that big on the Pokemon franchise, I would say steer clear of this. It's not really worth downloading. But because the game is for mobile, the whole presentation is very easily, heavily involved around just tapping a screen. which you can do on the Switch, but I was playing on my TV and I had a controller in my hands. And the only buttons that worked on the controller, basically, was moving the joystick around, which kind of brought up like a mouse hand cursor, and then pressing the A button to select the thing. So basically tapping with a digital finger instead of my own. So I don't think really playing on the Switch offers any kind of new gameplay experience or anything. It's nice to play on a TV, but again, it is a little bit clunky to kind of move the cursor back and forth to select the different attacks that you want your Pokemon to do, where it would be way easier to just literally tap it with your finger. So, weirdly enough, it is not out on phones yet or any mobile devices. I believe it's coming very soon, but it might be interesting to try it again when it does come out on those and see if it just feels a little bit more intuitive and maybe a little bit more addicting to play that way.
All right, cool. What else you got?
Yeah, so that's Pokemon Quest. I've played my indie arcade, which I'll get to in a minute. And I did play some more God of War. I still did not beat it yet, unfortunately, but I think I'm so close. And I don't really want to say anything, of course, because I don't want to spoil anything. But I feel like I'm very close to the end.
All right, cool. So you've almost discovered that they're all aliens.
Well, I did have the 20-minute long opera scene and, of course, the breakdance battle. So I'm pretty sure after the alien discovery, I will know the full story of the game.
Right. Yeah, at that point, you discover that Atreus has been a Force user the entire time, and... Oh, shit. Sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
Jeez, don't worry. I'll edit this out.
Yeah, edit it out, so at least others can be spared.
Yeah, Atreus is short for Anakin.
It's all been a Star Wars prequel the entire time.
Oof.
Oh man, what a bad prequel. But yeah, so any experience, any updates on your experience with the game so far?
No, I've been trying to. So I pretty much went a lot of the game really not worrying about armor or anything, and because I'm playing on the normal difficulty, so it's not too hard. It's definitely still challenging. Don't get me wrong, but for the main quest, I really haven't been having a lot of problems, and I kind of felt that I've stated before about like the whole crafting and like armor system kind of felt a little bit pointless to me, but this week I actually went to the dwarves and I bought a lot of stuff that was way under leveled and then just crafted it all the way up to the point where I couldn't craft it anymore and then equipped it. And then I started to see some improvements. I went into my sockets. Doing that, of course, gives you more sockets on those pieces of equipment. So I could add more sockets, more runic or gemstones, I guess they're called, to my sockets. And after I did all that, like my level skyrocketed from like 4 to like almost 6. And I guess that's something I could have done a while ago. I just never really messed with it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, not to butt in or anything, but I've just kind of been hopping in on God of War here and there. There's one of these quests that you can do kind of during the game, but more for late game, where you can go into one of the realms. You can actually unlock it, and it's completely optional. You can beat the game without ever having gone there or even having heard of it. But you go there, and you actually have the ability to upgrade your armor, and you can upgrade it significantly. Like, you can find the best armor in the game there, but it's also one of the hardest areas in the game to master. So, like, there's a big, like, risk-reward in going there. So, yeah, the armor that you'll get there, like, that's pushed me up to, like, halfway through level 7 at this point.
Wow.
So I'm at the point now where, like, if I leave the realm and I go face other enemies, I'm just mowing through them. A lot of the smaller enemies that, like, you come across, they're literally just, like, ants that I step on. where before they were like mopping the floor with me. Now, a lot of enemies do scale up with you. So, random encounters, you might run into enemies who are level 7, level 8, and they will be a challenge, but they won't be such a significant challenge anymore once you get the armor upgraded.
So you can go back to that one realm that's like a combat arena and probably clean up now, right?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, there's still some challenges there because there's qualifiers that you have to adhere to in that realm. So I can't necessarily just mow through that. I have to stick to the rules. So I'll give that a try once I get my armor upgraded. But yeah, it's upgrading your armor is definitely the way to go there.
Cool. What else have you been playing this week?
I played a lot of newer games this week. Firstly, this past weekend we had the Mario Tennis Aces Open Tournament demo.
Yeah, so I knew about that and I meant to download it and I just kept forgetting to do it, and now it's pretty much over, right? So I think I missed it.
You still got the rest of today. By the time you find folks out there listening to this, it will be over by a couple days. But as we're recording this, yes, it is still going on. It's actually kind of interesting. So you log into the game for the first time, and you have, you get this little tutorial that shows up where Drybones will teach you, Mario, about the basics of playing tennis aces. So you have your basic regular shots, you have lob shots. I mean, it's really a lot of classic Mario tennis action. Probably the couple things that I have to get used to most are the trick shots, where each character has a unique ability that they unveil, and they can launch the ball right at their opponent or into an obscure area of the court where their opponent can't reach. And by doing this, you can actually break the opponent's racket. And if you break enough of their rackets, I think you get maybe 2 or 3 rackets during each game. But if you break the rackets for good, then they're out of the game. You'll just win automatically by knockout, is what they call it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very rare and very hard to pull off those moves though, because you have to build up an energy gauge, and you also have to the enemy, your opponent, has the ability to block your shots also. So if they time the return hit just right, they can return your shot and potentially save themselves. And let me see, there's also an option where as you're lobbing volleys back and forth, you build up, again, your energy meter, and you can actually expend energy. If a shot is, you're on the left side of the court and the shot is going over to the right, you can actually hold the button down, slow down time a little bit, and then you can run over there and try to get there as quick as you can to potentially lob the shot back. Now, it's not foolproof. If you're just way too far, then you might not be able to make it. But it at least gives you a chance to get to the ball.
It sounds like they added a lot of really cool new in-depth mechanics to this one. I remember the Wii U one had basically nothing to offer.
Yeah, the Wii U one was not worth mentioning at all. It was just garbage. It was bare bones. There was no new features added to it. It was just very basic and blah. Yeah, not a fan. I mean, you have to wonder, when they were developing that, did they realize, all right, you know what, this console's on its last legs, why even bother investing a lot of resources into this when we could pour our resources into Mario Tennis Aces eventually?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it is what it is. From what I played of the game, it feels really good. Moving around the screen was a lot of fun. Pulling off some of the moves were really cool. There's also another move where you move generally around the court with your left stick. So that's how you move around. You can move up closer to the net, further back. If a shot goes wide, you have the option of doing that slow down time mechanic to run there as fast as you can, or you can flick the right stick and flick it in the direction of the ball, and your character will do this crazy sideways hop where they'll like try to get in front of the ball and then hit it back that way.
An unnatural tennis move that probably would be illegal in professional tennis.
It's like something you would see in a Gatorade commercial. Somebody drinks, swigs down a thing of Gatorade, and the ball goes flying, and they just leap sideways, flipping end over end until they land in front of the ball, and then just whack it back. And everyone's just like, oh my god! But yeah, you can do that, but it's not foolproof. So you have, just like anything else with tennis, you have to time it just right. So if the ball is behind you, you can flick yourself to flip end over end, but the ball is still bouncing. It's still bouncing past you as you're flipping. So you could land, and then the ball is just past you by the time you land, and then you lose the points. So you have to be sure that you time it just right so you get in front of the ball so you can actually return the volley.
I know there's a pretty decent amount of characters you can play as in this one. Are they all available during the demo or just a few?
At the start, you only have 4 available. But as you play the online tournament, you accrue points. You accrue points in the online tournament by competing in the... you compete in the tournament itself, or you can do practice modes and just practice your shots over and over. But the best way to accrue points quickly is to play in that online tournament and win.
Probably so they can test their servers during this weekend anyway.
Yes. So at the start, you have Mario, Peach, Yoshi, and Bowser. Those are the 4 characters you have at the very start.
No Luigi?
Not at the start. There were matches where I played online against people who did have Luigi. So you can eventually unlock Luigi. But I was not able to in the brief time that I had played. So I was competing in... I tried competing in a couple of tournaments. And I got my ass handed to me a good number of times. It was very obvious that, how... for whatever reason, an online game has been released, and you buy the game immediately at launch, you log in, same time as everyone else, and then you decide to play, and you just so happen to be playing against a grandmaster who's accrued, thousands of points in the game already.
Yeah.
And who's just mopping the floor with you. That was my experience. The first couple times I tried playing. It was a bad time. Plus, I was still trying to get used to the controls and everything else.
Yeah. They literally teach you how to play the game, and then they pit you against, one of the world ranking players.
Yep. Hey, baptism by fire, baby. It's the best way to learn. So then, I was like, alright, I gotta try again. I gotta get points, because points are how you unlock characters, eventually. Plus, whatever other game modes that you have. And I started this new tournament, and my first match was against this user named TJ Wild.
Wild.
I specifically remember the username because I wanted to remember it, because Justin, no word of lie, we played probably the greatest match of tennis that has ever occurred anywhere.
I did see the tweet you made to him saying how amazing of a match it was.
Yeah, I literally tweeted. I didn't know if his username on Switch was the same as his username on Twitter or whatever, but I just had to put it out there. We literally, Justin, I would serve the ball, and then we would just volley this thing. You know how quick a tennis volley is supposed to go. Boom, 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 a few seconds, and then it's done. It's over. We were literally, our volleys each time I served the ball were lasting like 2-3 minutes each. Just back and forth, back and forth. I would hit one wide. He was Waluigi, and he would do this crazy like moonwalk move where he would flip over and he would get in front of the ball, whack it back. And I was Yoshi. I would pop into my egg, roll over to the ball, whack it back. And we were just going back and forth, back and forth. And I'm screaming. I'm like, oh my fucking God, just land, please. And it was, oh man, the match ended. I won, ultimately. It was 3-1 that I wound up winning, because it's a 2-game, in the first rounds of this tournament, it's a 2-game single set match. So if you win 2 games, you win. Or if you both win 1 game, then you have to win by at least 2 games. Yeah. Right? So it's tennis rules, for all you tennis aficionados out there.
Right.
And, oh my God, literally, like, he won a game, then I won a game, and then I won the second game, and then that third game, honestly, Justin, it could have gone either way. Like, I had the advantage, then he would deuce it up, he would tie it up, and we were just literally swapping back and forth. He would get the advantage, and I would get the advantage. And this went on for at least a half hour, just this one single game. And finally, I had one shot and I just did this little trickle. Like, he was expecting me to just whack the ball right towards him. I just tapped the ball gently over the net, so it just bounced gently, and he couldn't get there in time to get to the second bounce, and that was it, and that's how I won. And wow. I literally just collapsed afterwards on my bed. My heart was racing afterwards. I was like, oh my God, that was one of the best experiences of my life.
Now you know how Rafael Nadal feels.
Yeah, I mean, if Nadal wants an actual challenge, he should play Mario Tennis Aces. That's where the true game is, in my opinion.
You should see if you can find TJ on Switch. Look for his profile and see if you can friend him. Yeah,
I should. Yeah, that was. It was seriously good match. Oh man, I'm just still thinking about it. Like, it's just absolutely amazing. So getting back to the game itself, it's a lot of fun. It's great. I can't wait till the full thing is released. What's cool too is this point system where you unlock certain characters. From what I understand, your points actually can carry over into the final release of the game.
That was my next question.
So you can buy the game, and then whatever points you accrued in the online tournament will carry over to this game. So because I accrued enough points in my win against TJ Wild, I actually unlocked Waluigi. So sorry to disappoint you, Justin, but after those initial 4 characters, your next unlock is Waluigi, not Luigi.
As much as I hate that, I also absolutely love Waluigi, so it's very hard to be too angry at that.
It's impossible to hate Waluigi. If you don't like Waluigi, I can't trust you.
Then I don't like you.
Yes, that's the official position. But yeah, Mario Tennis Aces. Great time, great game. Pick it up.
Awesome.
Let me see. I also picked up a couple of indie games this week to try out. One of them was it was an adventure game that kind of caught my eye, released in the past couple weeks or so, and it's called Forgotten Anne.
Forgotten Anne?
Forgotten Anne, A-N-N-E. And it's actually a very interesting premise. It takes place in the so-called Forgotten Lands, and your main character, you are Anne, who is the daughter of what's his name, Benzu. I don't remember his name, but she at least works for him, and they control the Forgotten factory, where everyday items that you've had throughout your life, Justin, say oh, you've been washing laundry and then, oh, you've lost a sock. Or you have an old chair, you don't want it anymore, so you put it out by the roadside and you just leave it there and then you just don't think about it anymore. Well, these items, where do they go? Where they go, Justin, is the Forgotten Lands. So when you have forgotten about some of your material possessions and you've forgotten about them completely, they vanish and they appear in the Forgotten Lands, and they get in a long line, and there's like some person at the head of the line who like checks your name. They check what type of item you are, like table, yeah, pretty antique, good sturdy legs, we can find a use for you, there's jobs available for you, and they write in their little notebook, and they're like, next, and there's just a whole line of things, and it's your job to kind of manage a lot of these items. Now, I'm very, very early in the game, so I don't know like specifics about the story or anything else, but it looks like there's a heavy magic element to the game. Like there's this magical element that is used to power most machines in the world. So as Anne, you wake up and you have to travel around your factory, and you have to find the hidden stores of the magic at the bottom, and it's just a basic tutorial showing you that you can go up and down stairs, how you interact with the world. There's levers to pull and push. It's a variety of actions, a lot more actions than you ordinarily see in a typical adventure game. Like, ordinarily, especially in like the old school like LucasArts or Sierra games, you might kind of like your hand might point towards an item, and then the item will just do whatever it is it's going to do. But here you actually see everyone like interacting with everything, like, and will reach out, grab the lever, and yank it. It's a 2D animated style. If you check online, like the character designs are really, really, they're really cool, really well drawn. The backgrounds are just amazing. Like, this is a very intricately designed world. The lighting in it looks like kind of dark and gloomy in some spots, but bright and colorful in others. Just really, really good looking game. The animation is a little bit not great.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It feels kind of jerky. Like, they definitely have the keyframes in the animation, but it feels like they cut back a lot on the in-betweens in the actual animation cycle. So nothing is really animated very smoothly. Everything kind of has like this jerky moving quality to it. Yeah. I also have this issue on my computer. Now, I'm running it on my Windows 7 PC. For whatever reason, the actual like character frames, like the characters themselves, will pop in and out as they're animating. So like as they're going through the motions, or I'm controlling them and walking them around the world, they'll just disappear in and out, and they just won't be there anymore for like brief seconds at a time.
That's strange.
It is very strange. I'm hoping to figure out like what the issue is there, because I want to get back into the game and play it some more, because I'm very, very interested to seeing what exactly is going on in this world. But it looks very promising so far.
Yeah, I really like the character design.
Yeah, I'm really digging it.
Cool. Well,
yep.
What else do you got?
Last game I played this week was Yoku's Island Express.
Yes. Now, this game is interesting because I was kind of browsing on Nintendo's eShop the other day, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Maybe, I'll take a look at it. And then randomly I was on a bunch of different sites and saw the reviews for this game were like in like the 9s and 10s.
I can absolutely believe that, because this game is, if I gave numerical review scores, I would probably give this a 9. It is just a fantastic, fantastic game. You are the titular character, Yoku. You're a little beetle, and you are tied to a marble. And the whole premise of the game is it's sort of a combination of Pathfinder-style gameplay, more commonly referred to as Metroidvania.
Right.
And it's combined with classic pinball gameplay. And the developers of the game actually refer to it as Pinballvania.
So that's pretty cool, because who's ever seen that before?
No one has. And it's so unique and just really, really well done. It's funny, too. The people who designed this game, it was Team 17, who they've actually been around for a while to develop in a lot of games. Probably most famously the Worms series of games.
Oh, the same guys?
Same guys, yeah. So, yeah. You wash up on the island, and you are the new postmaster. And you have to go around the island, and there's a whole story to uncover about like this danger that's posing a threat to the island itself. So you have to deliver the news to these chieftains who are scattered across the island. And to get across the island, you push your ball either left or right, and you can't jump. Not traditionally. What you have to do is you find these bumpers that are scattered all throughout the island, and you use these bumpers and you hit them. You trigger the buttons by using the left or right shoulder buttons, and they will launch you up into the air, depending on which one you hit. So if you need to get up to a higher area and there's a little bumper there, boom, you hit it and you're there. That's the main platforming aspects of the game. But then as you travel around the world, you'll notice there are these traditional pinball table-like areas where it's set up like a classic pinball machine like you'd find in any old arcade, where you've got the bumpers at the bottom and there's like maybe another bumper up top, and you have to like make your way through this area by hitting these giant balls, like these kind of like these knots, I think, where you hit them with your marble and you can break through these areas. And then like there's other aspects where like you'll hit this one section and it will release these keys onto the pinball table. So then you have to travel around the table itself, collect these keys, and that will unlock a door which will allow you to get past that table and advance further into the game.
All right, this sounds really cool. Here's a question that I don't even know about you. What is your opinion of pinball? Are you a big pinball fan?
I mean, I played a mean pinball, every now and then, from Soho down to Brighton. Must have played them all.
A pinball wizard, if you will.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm not a pinball wizard. Like I will every once in a blue moon play a pinball machine, but I haven't actually played like, God, now I think about it, it's been a very, very long time since I played like traditional classic pop a quarter in and play pinball machine.
It's interesting because there are a lot of video game like pinball spin-offs now that I think about it. There's Sonic Spinball. There is a Metroid Blast Ball, and there's even a Mario one called Mario Pinball Land for the Game Boy Advance that I actually had, and I remember that game being a lot of fun. So I think being able to take like a video game style, mixing it with the old classic pinball, gameplay, can really result in some pretty cool, games.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a really, really clever mechanic, and it's very, very well implemented here. The only frustrations that I really have with the game is that it's just some of the frustrations that are inherent in classic pinball.
Right.
Like, you want the ball to go down that path, but you hit the bumper and you just want to get where you want to go, but you mistime the hit and, like, just mistime it, just barely, and so you miss, or you hit, like, the side of the wall or something. So it can take you a long time to progress through different areas. There's a lot of backtracking in the game, which So there are some pathways, like once you get past a pinball table area, you might be able to push a rock over, and that unlocks like a quick travel area where you can just push the marble through, and then you don't have to go through the table anymore. But there are some areas where you have to do the table kind of over again. Like, you don't have to unlock everything again. It's all unlocked, but you have to actually traverse it again, and that can be very annoying.
Yeah.
Let me see. There are no traditional enemies in the game, so the only hazards you find are strictly environmental. There are occasional boss fights in the game as you progress through the story, but they're not too dangerous. It's all just timing, basically. You have to defeat them in a matter of, in a short amount of time, etc. And you get different power-ups and abilities throughout the experience. And very early in the game, one of the items that you pick up is a party horn.
Party horn?
A party horn. Like, you're at, like, someone's birthday party, or, like, it's a surprise, and it's like, surprise! And they blow the horn, like, bing! Happy birthday, or whatever. That type of party horn.
Like the birthday kazoo kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah. It's like a big cone with, like, that kazoo end on the end of it.
Got you.
And you have to use this party horn to, like, there are different items that are hidden in the game, or, like, there's treasure chests, and you'll blow the horn to break them, and fruit will pop out. Fruit is the main collectible and currency in the game. So the more fruit you have, the better off you are. You have to blow this horn to unlock the fruit, to find these different wickerlings, which is another collectible in the game. And this horn, Justin, is the most obnoxious, annoying sounding thing in the entire world. There is no time when you are blowing this frickin' horn that it does not make you want to drive a screwdriver into your ears.
That sounds absolutely terrible.
It's the worst. Especially when there's, like, certain area, like, it's the same button to blow the horn is the same button you use to interact with people. But to interact with people, you have to be standing in front of them. So there are times where I'm like, I'm going to talk to this person, and I blow the horn inadvertently, and it just makes me jump involuntarily. It just clench my eyes like, oh, God, like the frickin' horn.
That's weird. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when I was playing Pokemon Quest. Bulbasaur, one of his attacks is Pedal Dance, and when you use it, for some reason, it is like 3 times louder than anything else in the game, any music, any sound effect. It is just so loud, and I had my volume of my TV down to like 2. I could almost barely hear the music of the game, but whenever Bulbasaur used Pedal Dance, it was like, wow, 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 like so loud, and I was playing late at night, and I didn't want to wake anybody up, but like there was no way to like just kind of balance that out. It was so, I wasn't going to use it all the time because it was so annoying.
I imagine Zool kicking in your door. He's wearing, like, his nightgown, and he's got the nightcap on.
And the candle. Like, I don't know, like the little...
Like the little dish. Candle. Yeah. Are you playing Pokemon again? It's 3 a.m.
Yep, that probably would happen.
Yeah, the classic Zool. But yeah, outside of those annoyances, which are honestly just minor... the game is really a lot of fun. Getting through the world is fantastic. Honestly, it's one of those types of games where, like, I pick it up and I'm just playing it for hours at a time. Like, it's just so good. It's so fun. If you get the chance, Justin, I recommend picking it up. I think you would really have a blast with it.
Absolutely, yeah. I really can't wait to play that. And I'm really glad that you picked it up and talked about it on the pod.
I'm glad too, I'm really glad.
Yeah, and you have a piece that's going to be on the blog this week, too, about it as well. So for more info, you can check the blog.
Yes, please do. Hopefully having more up on the blog this coming week. So, yeah, stay tuned. That's it for me in terms of what I've been playing. But, Justin, it's not it for you, because you still have your Indie Arcade.
Indie Arcade.
If you may remember, last week I gave Justin the game Wizard of Legend to play. Justin, take it away.
Wizard of Legend. Yes. Chris, stop me if you've heard this one before. This game is a retro-inspired, pixel-based, roguelike indie game.
It's very unique.
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of them, and for good reason. They're very popular, but personally, I'm like kind of getting a little bit burnt out on them. But, after watching the videos of Wizard of Legend after you assigned it to me last week, I thought this looks kind of cool. It reminded me of a kind of a blend of Hyper Light Drifter and Kamiko, two games that I really enjoyed from last year. And so I was excited to give it a shot. And fun but hard is basically a 3,000 foot overview of my experience with Wizard of Legend.
Fun but hard, ladies.
Yeah, so that, this particular style of game, the roguelikes, they are made to be hard. They are made for you to die a lot. There is a specific, I think, clientele of game players who really enjoy that experience. If you are fans of something like The Binding of Isaac or, Hyper Light Drifter, like I've said, these kind of games, you've been playing them for a while, you know what to expect, you know how the whole loot system works, and you'll probably excel pretty well in that game. Personally, I don't play those games too much, so I think for me, the barrier to entry was a bit steeper. Of course, I'm not knocking the game for that, because that's the style of this game. It's how these work. These are hard. You are meant to die a lot. You need to kind of learn patterns. You need to basically work on your dodging skills. You need to upgrade your abilities to excel and move further in the game. That being said, it is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the presentation of the game. It starts off as you are like a fledgling wizard, and you are going to the Wizard Academy, where you this is like the game's tutorial. It's like you're going through this museum that has like curators that tell you about different wizards and different like arcana spells that they used to use, and like you read about them, but there's each section of the museum also has a segment where you can try the attacks out and basically like learn how to use them. And this is really like happy like music going on in the background, and you can talk to people that are like, oh, I love wizards, like I used to be able to do this move all the time back when I was younger, or just kind of like they're living in a world where this is very commonplace, and they're just going to learn more about the history of the Wizards of Legend, if you will. The Wizards of Legend are these three wizards that, forgive me, I don't remember their names right now, but there is a ice-based wizard, a fire-based wizard, and an earth-based wizard. And how the game works is you have to basically fight these wizards and defeat them in battle to become like the new Wizard of Legend, basically. So these wizards aren't evil, they are just the best of the best, and they want to test your skills. And if you want to be, the best, you have to beat them in battle. And how the game is laid out is that it's randomly generated, and each level consists of 2 stages and then a boss battle, and that boss will be one of those 3 wizards. And so imagine 3 chunks of 3, so like 9 stages total, right? 2 stages in a boss, 2 stages in a boss, 2 stages in a boss. Those 3 chunks can be alternated every time that you do a run. So it can be, the Earth guy, then the Ice girl, and then the Fire girl, or Fire girl, Earth guy, Ice girl. Every time you start a run, it's different.
So it's not like you can pick or choose which ones you go. It's just that every time you start a run, it's different. It's chosen at random for you.
Exactly. Yes.
Gotcha.
And, different effects that you can get, different arcana that you can learn, can have higher or weaker effects against that wizard that you're fighting. For example, like the lightning-based stuff works well against the ice-based stuff. The ice-based stuff works well against the fire-based stuff, and so on and so forth. So the stages are presented in a randomly generated map that you have to in the left corner of the screen is this map where when you move around the map and the more that you uncover, a percentage meter will fill up to 100%. 100% means you explore that whole part of the dungeon. And along your travel, not only will you fight enemies, but you'll also encounter some shopkeepers that can sell you stuff like new arcana spells or new items to equip, or even the game's kind of goofy too. There's like a piñata that's just laughing at you basically, and if you can kill him in a combo, which is like the combination of all your attacks, you get a new arcana spell from him. But if you can't kill him with your current equipment, like he'll just laugh at you. So that was super frustrating because I could not kill him. So last week, Chris, you had mentioned that the game had co-op mode. I was unaware of that. And then luckily I was able to play co-op mode this week because Butch also got Wizards of Legend.
Oh, very nice. That's a happy little bit of serendipity there.
Yeah, and I'm actually really glad we got to play it because co-op is like a totally different experience. It definitely is a little bit easier, but there's also new challenges that come into co-op. Like things like, when your health is down, if you open up a chest and get HP from there, you might accidentally get it instead of your partner who does need it. Some health you share if you buy a potion from a merchant, you'll share that, but a lot of the health that's on the field, that the drops from the enemies, you got to make sure that you're the one that needs it who picks it up. There's a few instances where I was cursing at Butch for picking up the health because I was almost dead and he was fine, but he got it all anyway by accident.
Oh, so you can't share items between yourselves? Yeah,
just some things you can, not everything. But what was cool is Butch had been playing for a little while. He unlocked a lot of arcana spells. When I joined the game, I had full access to his spells, so I could equip myself with basically anything that he had bought already. So that was really cool. And also the items that you equip that have different effects during the game, during your runs, I had access to all of his library as well there. So that was really cool.
Nice.
It does this weird thing where it's like you're sort of competing against each other for whoever gets the most points at the end of a stage. Like whoever gets the most kills gets a certain amount of points. Like whoever dealt the most damage gets a certain amount of points, whatever. And weirdly, when you beat a boss and both of you survive, the boss says, "But unfortunately, there can only be one wizard," and it goes into a PvP mode. And I had to fight Butch. And we were thinking, oh no, maybe because this was the second boss of our run, because I had died on the first boss and we didn't have to do that whole PvP thing. So the second boss we both survived. The PvP thing happened, and we had both immediately thought, oh wow, for the rest of the game maybe it can only be one player, so the winner of this battle gets to continue playing. So we both were kind of bummed out because we wanted to keep playing together. And of course Butch beat me because he is way better than me at this game, and it turns out it does absolutely nothing except give you 500 points for winning the PvP battle. So at the end of the stage, he just had 500 more points than me, which we didn't care about the points at all anyway, so it was really strange.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, so that was that. But playing PvP was definitely a lot more fun. We were just laughing and screaming the whole time, and made it pretty far. I mean, it was the first time we played together, and we beat the first two clusters of stages. So we made it to cluster 3 when we finally died. And the good thing is, I was dying a lot, and when you die, you kind of come back as this ghost, and all you can do is kind of move around. And actually, if you press A, you can do a smiley emoji, or if you press X, you do a dance emoji. Just something to entertain yourself, I guess, while the other player is playing the game. But when a co-op partner is down, when the alive player still kills some enemies start dropping these green orbs that are basically a respawn, I guess, potion. And when I as the ghost collect those orbs, this green bar would appear on the bottom of my ghost, and when that filled all the way up, I could press A to rejoin the game, and I'll be back with like about 20% of my normal health, but I'm back in the game.
Oh, nice. So that's how you kind of like can keep playing after you died.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's good. Well, that's a cool little mechanic.
Yeah, it made it really fun. It made the blend of, Butch, who is very familiar with that type of game, versus me, who's not that familiar with it. It made us be able to, play together without feeling like one is weighing the other down or anything. So that was really cool. I got to experience a lot of the new Arcana that I haven't reached yet, and just made it a lot of fun to play together. So I would say the co-op in that game is definitely worth it. If you're into roguelikes, really gorgeous pixel art, any of that sort of thing, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's on, I think, all the platforms, Steam, PS4, Xbox, and Switch. We were playing on Switch. The control scheme, feels great. And the only thing was Switch loading times are actually kind of slow compared to the other ones. Waiting for a run to start actually takes a weirdly long amount of time. Yeah, so that's kind of a negative for the Switch. But overall, yeah, the game ran great. So it was a lot of fun. It is challenging. It is difficult, but it is a lot of fun. Wizard of Legend. Check it out.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. I expect the favor to be repaid in kind.
Well, Chris, if you recall, last week we were talking about how we were just being a little bit too nice to each other lately.
I mean, lately, but we don't have to end that streak just now.
Well, here's the thing. I had an idea of kind of giving you a game that could go either way, and I wanted to mix things up a bit, because I know we've been doing a lot of Steam and Switch stuff, and I didn't want to forget our old friends over at itch.io.
Oh.
So I hopped on over there. I started browsing. I decided to do you a favor and give you an excellent deal on a game this week.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
This game is 25% off for a grand total of 75 cents.
Oh, man. Really breaking the bank.
This game actually looks like it could be pretty cool. You and I are both old school turn-based RPG fans, and this is definitely one of them. And when I say old school, I mean old school, because this is an old school NES style RPG.
Oh, damn.
And this game on itch.io for 75 cents is called Tropia.
Tropia?
Follow 4 heroes, a wizard, paladin, brawler, and ranger, on their adventure. It's 5+ hours of solid turn-based monster slaying, MacGuffin collecting, and princess saving fun. This is an old-school NES-style RPG. It's called Tropia for a reason. We're not trying to make anything revolutionary. If you find yourself thinking, I'd love to play a game that's a lot like the original Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy games, but I already beat those games, then this game is for you.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Yeah, I just bought it as you were reading all that off. So the screenshots definitely remind me of definitely classic NES style gameplay. The battlefield kind of looks like it almost reminds me of like the Dragon Warrior games, like Enix used to develop.
Exactly.
Where you're facing the enemy. You can actually see your own characters though. Which
that is true. That is different.
Yeah, you can't ordinarily do, but yeah. I'll be honest, it looks pretty cool.
It looks awesome.
It actually looks very interesting. Like there's some detail, like this second to last screenshot here at the bottom. The enemies kind of have a little bit of detail to their faces.
Faces.
Yeah, the environments are. They're a little sparse, but it's a classic NES style RPG type game. Yeah, this looks interesting. I'm willing to give this a shot.
Yeah, it's they absolutely nail what they're going for of a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest style early RPG.
Mm-hmm. This I'm watching the trailer for it right now. It's got like this boom 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 type of soundtrack to it. It's like it's like classic NES style soundtrack, like the MIDI noises, and it's all 8-bit. Like it just takes me back. Like this looks like something that could be on the old NES. I'm really excited. This actually looks really interesting.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like that it's only around 5 hours too, so that sounds like it might be just like a nice, fun, short experience that's not too hard or anything, not too lengthy.
No, it sounds like perfect amount of time. Great look to it, great style. Yeah, can't wait to play it.
It sounds like it's got a really good sense of humor too, because I love how the name is Tropia.
Dealing with all the tropes.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we've been gabbing for a while. What do you say you and I take a quick break and we gather our thoughts for the weirdest, wackiest, most outrageous things that we would have happen at E3?
Sounds good. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Press It Repeatedly. Justin Thomaso here with Chris Gold, and we are about to drop the most ridiculous, crazy, unbelievable, wild E3 predictions as if we were completely in charge of E3 and no one could tell us that, hey, you just can't do that.
Yes, we have the reins. We are in the control room. We have the control room barricaded. People are banging on the doors trying to get in. And yeah, we're at the controls and what we say goes. So we are going to dive right in and yeah, just go a little hog wild.
Well, here we go. This is the platform for us to daydream. No idea is too wild. What's going to happen? Let's find out.
All right. I insist that I go first.
Yes, then you must.
All right. So the first thing that I would introduce as, co-god of E3, I would have a giant Nintendo crossover game where all of the characters would be joined together in this one world, similar to kind of what they did with this Subspace Emissary in Smash Brothers. But that's the main game, and that in and of itself is better than what Subspace Emissary was. Like, you can add Nintendo characters to your party, you encounter the different enemies, but it's like a traditional RPG style game where each character has their own movesets, they have their own classes and weapons that only they can equip. Yeah, I think something like that would be... that's something that I've wanted for a very, very long time, because Nintendo has such a great cast of characters that they've put together over the years. And I always thought, with Smash Brothers, they showed that they can certainly work within their divisions, within themselves, to have these characters fight with each other. What if they fought alongside each other towards, like, some common goal?
Yeah, and actually that one doesn't seem too insane to me because, like you said, it's pretty much the premise of Subspace Emissary from Melee, and a lot of people really love that mode. And for them to actually kind of make a full-fledged sort of game out of that, I could see it coming. I remember when Amiibo was first announced, a lot of people were thinking that maybe there was going to be some sort of game to accompany them that was very similar to how Skylanders or Disney Infinity works, where you can scan whatever amiibo of any character you want, and then they're in the game, and then you play as them, and they're all in the game together, and they work together. Like you said, Nintendo's iconic cast of characters are so beloved. I mean, there's literally theme parks being built around these characters. That's going to be coming out eventually.
Right.
I could one day see that happening. Maybe Masahiro Sakurai would have to be behind it because he's done all the Smash Bros stuff. I don't know exactly how it would work, what type of game it would be, but I mean that would not be really too surprising for me. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it may not have been all too surprising for you, but don't worry, Justin. I was getting the least surprising and shocking one out of my system early.
Well, I mean, after the bomb you dropped last week, I can't wait to see what you have in store.
Right. What's yours?
Okay. Again, for those of you who aren't familiar with the podcast, Chris and I are extreme Nintendo fanboys, so I have a good feeling a lot of these are going to be Nintendo related. So buckle in. This next one is actually a game I've been thinking about for a little while that I think would be so cool. Did you ever play Wario Land Shake It for the Wii?
Briefly. I didn't actually play the whole thing, but I think when I was over at your place or at other people's places, they had the game and then I would play it there. But I never actually owned the game myself.
So if you're unfamiliar with that game, it's basically a 2D side-scrolling Wario game, platformer, with these beautiful, like, hand-drawn, cartoony graphics. And I was just thinking, if that same team can make another game like that, but the mechanic is, it's not just Wario, because this is going to go back to what we were talking about earlier with Mario Tennis, but our boy Waluigi is in the game as well, as another playable character. And how it works is you play as both Wario and Waluigi, much like how like Donkey Kong Country works, and you press like the select button to swap between the two, and each one has different abilities that they can do. Like if there's a tight space, you gotta switch to Waluigi because he's like skinny and he can crawl through it and get to it. Or if there's like a high ledge, he's really tall, so he can jump up and get to up there. If there's like a pile, like a wall of bricks, you would switch to Wario and he'll do his like classic like shoulder tackle move to knock down the wall of bricks and get through, and just basically develop a whole game on that with those mechanics of playing with the Wario Brothers. They could even call it Super Wario Brothers. Like it's like a perfect name. Mario and Luigi could even be like maybe the bad guys in it or something for once. Just really crazy idea, but I think it would translate so well into like a 2D platformer. Wario and Waluigi are such great, crazy characters, and the dynamic between the two could really lead to a really fun platformer. So that would be my first wild E3 prediction.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. If they release this game, I would punch people in the face to be first in line to buy this game. This just sounds so fun and so amazing. Because Nintendo, they know how to put together a good platformer. They already know what's involved in designing that game. They just need to incorporate the Wario and Waluigi characters, especially Waluigi. Why have we not gotten a proper game that has Waluigi as a star or a central figure? He's always only ever a secondary character in the sports games, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look at Waluigi. Look at him, the way he waves his long, luscious locks in the Mario Tennis Aces footage. That goofy grin of his. He's such a ridiculous character overall. Like, he needs more love.
I totally agree. And, this could be a game distributed by Nintendo. Good Feel was the developer that made Warrior Land Shaky. I just looked it up. And, that could just be something they could work on. It could even be released as like a $20 download game. Maybe it's only like, I don't know, 10 or 15 hours long or something. But I just feel like it's a great platform for these two characters to play in. And people love Waluigi. They literally are clamoring for him. I mean, it just makes so much sense to me.
Yep, makes sense to me too. I wish that wasn't a wacky, ridiculous idea because I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Yep.
All right, my next ridiculous idea, Justin. I hate to to diverge from what you were thinking, but I specifically tried to avoid as much Nintendo as I could because I am such a Nintendo fanboy. So I veered off into other franchises. And one franchise that I would announce at E3 is Halo 76, a base building experience. So essentially, it would be Halo, but you would have to cooperatively build up a base with you and up to like 3 friends. And there's, you have your base and you have different squads that like you send out on different assignments. It would be kind of similar to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. You never played that game, but
I have not.
That in that game you could recruit assassins to the Order, and then you could send them out on different assignments throughout Europe. And these are just different assignments that you yourself can't handle because by this point in the series, you've become a very high up assassin. You're busy with like a lot of different things, so you send these guys out, hey, take care of this or do that. And each of these assassins can level up and they can move up through the ranks. Something similar to that, but with Halo. And you yourself can still go out on missions yourself, like enemies can attack your base, you'll have to defend your base. And I don't know, I feel like something that switches up the traditional Halo formula would, again, be welcome to the franchise. Because, they're all just, it's a lot of shooters. And the shooter genre has evolved past, I think, what Halo can provide. So I think something like this would be, if not a base building experience, but some sort of different genre that they can go down to kind of reinvigorate the franchise a little.
Yeah, I want to say like a tactical strategy RPG, something like StarCraft, RTS. I don't know for sure if there has been one of those in like a Halo form yet.
I think there was Halo Reach.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
There was a RTS. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not as familiar with Halo as other franchises, but I'm pretty sure.
But I see what you're trying to say because that is a very well established franchise that could lend itself to, being displayed in other genres, and it really hasn't yet.
No, I want the Halo franchise to continue being successful. It's a very popular franchise, and I feel like, just doing something similar to like what Fallout 76 is doing, what Breath of the Wild did, what Super Mario Odyssey did, just something that changes up the formula and gives fans something new to do in the series. I think that could be a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people would be pretty welcoming of such a change.
Yeah, I would totally be down to see that.
All right, what's next for you?
Okay, bear with me on this next one. Because it's going to sound weird, but this is something that I always wanted, but if it came out today, I think it would be terrible, and therefore don't really want it anymore.
All right.
And that is a sequel to Super Mario RPG, Super Mario RPG 2.
That is a good one.
The thing is that I think would make it be really bad now is the fact that if Square was in part developing it, they try to make it all over the top and dramatic, and the turn-based RPG aspects of it would be gone, and it would be in this action RPG, and you'd have Mario like flying around in the sky, like fighting like these gods of enemies, and the game would take 27 years to come out, and it's just be nothing but hype and teaser trailers for the teaser trailer, and I just don't think I think that ship has sailed years ago, and as much as I would have loved to have seen that, I just don't think it could happen anymore. And unfortunately, I think we have to let that dream die today here on Press It Repeatedly.
Yeah. Gino is like staring up at you. You've got a gun in your hand. And he's like, Justin, just do it. Just do it, man.
He like grabs the gun and like puts it on his forehead.
Yeah. No, Gino, I don't want the dream to die. And he just like sighs and he's like, oh, Justin, the dream died years ago.
But, you know, if we were the gods of E3, right? Let's say that I could somehow recreate that Square team that worked on the original Super Mario RPG and just be like, all right, guys, we want a sequel to this. We want Gino, we want Mallow, we want all the characters back, but adding new characters, put Luigi in the game instead of just like a little pixel that you see at the very end of the game when you beat it.
There it is. There's the real reason. I was wondering when we were going to get to the real reason you wanted to see that sequel.
Hell yeah, man. He absolutely should be a playable character in Super Mario RPG 2. And, you know, add plenty of more characters. The plethora of Nintendo characters that could be in that game, of Mario characters, the Mario universe. They really had something so special, so unique there. The whole battle system, the music, the battle music is so good in that game. Just that whole game concept recaptured with a sequel. It's longer and just adds more to the story, and just that same experience but fresh. If that ever could happen again, I would go nuts, but I just don't think it's possible anymore.
Yeah, that soundtrack is probably one of the all-time greatest soundtracks in any video game ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am right there with you. Super Mario RPG, yeah, that holds a special place in my heart, particularly. That's the game that you introduced me to that made me from like, kind of a casual gamer to a much more invested gamer emotionally. I probably would not be doing this podcast right with you right now if not for Super Mario RPG. So I get wanting to see like a continuation of that particular franchise, but I would argue that we already have sequels to Super Mario RPG in the Paper Mario series, the Mario and Luigi series. I know that's not ideal. I can see it in your face that it is not ideal, but for right now, that's probably the best that we're going to get. And each of those franchises are really successful and do things really, really well.
Don't get me wrong. I really liked the Paper Mario games. I really love the Mario and Luigi games, but they just never were exactly what I wanted in a sequel of a Mario RPG.
Right. But, since we're the gods of E3, it's going to happen. So, yeah.
Yes.
Huzzah and be blessed, all ye faithful.
All right, let's take a breath from that and move on to your next godly prediction.
All right. Bear with me.
You've been saying that a lot lately.
These are getting wackier and wackier. So, I want an Assassin's Creed VR game that actually works like how it works in the game itself. So
you're literally slitting people's throats?
So you put on the VR headset and you literally, your consciousness travels back in time, and it's a first-person perspective, and you are back in time and you are interacting with people from like the 1400s, from ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and you can run around and do literally whatever you want. You can't kill innocent people. That's the one thing you can't do, because if you do that, you'll desync and you'll lose the game.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, like, if there's any important characters in history that need to be assassinated, you will be the one to assassinate them.
Do you think that would breed a whole new discussion of like video game violence talk? Because you are actually
Maybe.
physically
It might.
killing people in a virtual reality.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the argument though: is in our timeline nowadays they're already dead because you've already gone back in time and killed them. So by modern day standards, they're already dead. So, so you're already keeping the timeline intact.
Yes, of course. Children are killing people in brutal ways. But, Your Honor, it's gonna be bitchin'.
The judge, that is true. That does sound awfully ballin'.
He high-fives the blade.
My biggest question, though, like, you ever think of an idea and think, man, this is a great idea, but then you say it out loud, and immediately your brain is filled with all sorts of questions about it that make you realize, oh no, wait, this is a terrible idea?
Yeah.
So, Assassin's Creed VR, right? You go back in time, you're actually killing way back when. Or, like, if multiple people are playing the game, are you all killing the same people over and over again? Like, that doesn't make sense. Once you kill someone once, they're dead. They're done.
Well, you know, it would be like this. I thought it would be just like the same game for everybody, right?
Oh no, like, it's real. This is real. Like, you go back in time. Like, you take the headset off.
Wait,
you're back
so
in
this isn't
day.
a game? You are physically going back in time and actually killing historical things.
Remember, you said you can't say anything against our ideas.
I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. I'm breaking the rules. Please proceed. I just wanted to verify exactly what you were saying.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. You know, you go back in time, there's important figures that need to be assassinated, and yeah, you go assassinate them. You bring the genuine Assassin's Creed experience into your own home. And with the VR headset, you actually become the assassin more than you ever could before.
Can you imagine that 7-year-old kid who, like, he puts on the helmet, he goes back in time, he grabs Hitler by the throat and just slices him open, and, like, blood's gushing everywhere, and he just feels the life leave this body. And then he, like, takes off the headset.
It's like, Billy, your chicken nuggets are ready.
He just, like, sits on the corner of his bed and just stares at the blank screen of his television for 12 hours straight.
It just has the 1,000-yard stare. I mean, when you think about it, it might be a terrible idea. But yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm the god of E3, co-god of E3.
Hey,
so what I say goes. So boom, I say it goes.
That's not even your craziest prediction. You got more to come.
Yeah, I've got probably my craziest one saved for last.
Okay. Well, on the vein of that, and into sort of like the virtual reality territory, I would love to see some sort of, again, I don't know how this would work. I don't know how the logistics would work, whatever, but basically this will be a like space travel dogfighting type of game where you have this contraption that you buy and you set it up in front of your, well, not even, you can set it up anywhere because it's all going to be part of the contraption, but basically it is a seat that has a lid on it, kind of like a giant coffin almost, but in the shape of a cockpit of a ship. And you sit in the seat, and then the lid of that, you know, comes down and covers you entirely. And then when it turns on, you just see through the windows of this contraption, you see like space, like you're actually flying in space. And when you move, you know, the controllers and stuff, it's like you're flying. So it feels like you are actually flying a ship in space. you look to your left, you can see to your left, to your right, up and down. And, you're doing all the dogfighting stuff of, like, doing barrel rolls and shooting down enemies and going through warp drive. And you have, like, a console in front of you that has a bunch of different, like, inputs that you have to learn. And, when you get hit by an enemy, the whole thing, like, shakes a little bit and stuff. But it's all, like, contained inside this, like, contraption. And, it somehow feels, like, as real to actual, like, space combat as can be. But, like, in this weird kind of contraption thing that probably would cost a ridiculous amount of money.
Oh, God, it would cost so much. But, that would be so cool. It's kind of like, it almost sounds like those rides, like at Disney World or at just different theme parks where you get in, like, those cockpits and they have kind of like a gravity sort of machine. Like, you feel like, oh, you hit a rock and then the whole thing, like, shakes to the side or something.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's basically that, but in the comfort of your home. That sounds cool, man. I always liked those types of rides. I understand a lot of people can't do those types of rides because they get sick or they get motion sickness pretty easily. But yeah, when I was younger, I used to love going on those types of rides. I always loved that feeling of like, oh man, we're going through space, or, I'm going through a jungle, or whatever. That would be a really cool experience.
Yeah, totally. Just like, everyone loves sci-fi movies. Everyone loves, like, the idea of dogfighting is like a dream for a lot of sci-fi fans and stuff. I think it'd be really cool if they could make something like that, down the line. Well, for Gods of E3, it's coming out this E3, but, there's something like a really enhanced virtual reality experience that is just in the comfort of your own home, and it's just like this one little contraption that you can get in and out of, and I don't know. I think that'd be pretty sweet.
I 100% think that would be pretty sweet. Man, your ideas are a lot more fun than my ideas.
I don't know. Slicing Benedict Arnold in two with my own fingernails sounds pretty cool.
You never know until you actually do it. Yeah. So we'll find out this November, only on PSVR.
What do you got next?
All right, so this is my last one. All right? This is probably the most ridiculous, the most absurd, the craziest thing that I could possibly announce as a god of E3.
Okay.
Half-Life 3.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Listen,
I know
I can't say...
we made the rules.
I know, but come on now.
I know it's absurd. I know it's just the stupidest possible thing that could ever happen. But yes, if I had my druthers, I would say Half-Life 3 would be announced and is coming out March 2019. You have to be somewhat realistic.
Now, that's gotta be just PC specific, right? I can't imagine a Valve game on PS4 or Xbox or anything.
They did come out with the Orange Box years ago. That was also you could get it on PC, but you could also get it on consoles, and that was actually probably, like, to this day is one of the best bundles that has ever been released, like, ever. You had, God, what did you have on it? You had Portal, you had Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2.
And Counter-Strike, right, also?
I don't think Counter-Strike was on there. I think it was one of, I think it was Half-Life 2 Episode 1, maybe? Yeah, but yeah, each of those games is just an absolute classic in and of itself, and to have them all bundled together in one disc just blew people away. I can't believe, like, now we're looking at it, like, Half-Life 2 Episode 2 was the last main game released in the Half-Life series, and I think that came out in 2007, so that was over 11 years ago at this point, and... Man, we've talked about it before, but writers have, original writers on the Half-Life team have left the studio at this point. Some of them have even left the video game industry completely. after all these years. And plus Valve, I mean, right now they've got the Steam money machine going. They haven't made a proper game in a very, very long time. I know people want them to come out with other 3s in their various franchises, like where's Left 4 Dead 3, where's Portal 3. But right now, the way things are looking at Valve, the way their business structure is set up, it doesn't look like there's any real financial interest in designing and building another game. Because, I mean, they've got Steam. They're making hand over fist out there. So there's really no need for them to. But I just really wish they would, because I loved all their games so much.
It's got to be alone the number one most wanted, potential game out there, now that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was officially announced last year.
Oh yeah, even when it wasn't announced, Half-Life 3, I think, is still the number one most requested game. It has been for a long, long time now, even when people were clamoring for Beyond Good and Evil 2. But then, what was it, last year or a couple years ago? One of the ex-writers actually released a text document that supposedly wrapped up the entire series. It was like, oh, this is what the plot of Half-Life 3 was going to be.
Yeah, I remember that. It was last year.
Yeah, and I remember people commenting at the time, just what a shame. What a shame that such a heralded franchise, one of the best franchises in gaming ever, meets its end in a text file posted in Pastebin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a fall from grace. If I could undo it and be like, no, make the game and put it out there, I absolutely would. But
well, as a god of E3, you could make it happen.
All right, I will do just that. I'll snap my fingers and boom, Half-Life 3. Play it, give it a 7 out of 10. That's the thing though. Even if they did make Half-Life 3, even if they announced it, there's no way it will live up to the hype. If Gabe Newell came out and said, yes, we are making Half-Life 3, there is no shot that game meets expectations. None. Absolutely zilch.
It's funny because in waiting this long, they kind of put themselves in, they shot themselves in the foot, right? Because the concept of gaming has changed so much, especially for first-person shooters now, because now you look at Destiny 2, where it's games as a service, and there has to be a very heavy multiplayer aspect to the game, and all this DLC and stuff, and just a single-player, story-driven, first-person shooter game, they would have to really kind of alter what they were best known for with the original two Half-Lives, and yeah, it might affect them negatively, come review time of the game.
Yeah, they have to. They would have to think of new things than having environmental puzzles where you can put this concrete block on this wooden slab, and it won't tip over, and you can use it as a platform. At the time those physics were great, but nowadays those physics are of course, that's to be expected.
Yeah.
So they would have to significantly step up their game. I just don't see it. They would have to make games again, and they would have to make it wilder than anyone could ever imagine it being.
Yeah. Well, again, never say never, but those are our most wild and most wanted predictions of games that we could announce if we were completely in charge of the video game industry. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Do any of those sound cool to you? Do any of those sound that's absolutely ridiculous? Hit us up on Twitter. Email us at parpodcast@gmail.com and let us know what some of your picks would be if you were completely in charge of E3.
If you could go back in time in Assassin's Creed VR and kill any one historical figure, who would it be and why?
And how?
we don't have to know how. That can be between you and this historical figure. We don't need, because we ask how, we're gonna get a blow by blow then I pulled out his fingernails type detail.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We don't need that.
Yeah. That game...
It would be great.
Scar a lot of young minds.
Yeah, Game of the Year 2018. Book it.
There you go.
All right. Let's say we go home.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, a quick note. Next week, of course, is E3, and in fashion, we take next week off in terms of the podcast, and then we come back in 2 weeks with a full recap of E3 2018, and we are super excited. And we'll be having just a really awesome episode where we kind of go over everything, what we liked, what we didn't like, what was downright ridiculous. And, it'll all be there 2 weeks from now. So stay tuned for that one.
Yep, absolutely. Really looking forward to everything. Gonna take the time, absorb all the conferences, all the news, because it's E3. There's going to be way too much in terms of news and releases coming out for us to handle. So... yeah, listen to for a recap in 2 glorious, beautiful weeks.
Yeah, and watch E3. Stream it all, whatever you can. If you got free time, just pop it on and see some magic happen.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes Tuesdays on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and will really help us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Press A repeatedly. I'm at cgold113 and Justin is at oaf7724. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's parpodcast@gmail.com. That's all for this week. Chris and Justin signing off. And remember to toss giant anchors off your airship as you escape from Helheim. Press A repeatedly.